Hi, buddy. This is JPar, and that's right. We're doing it again. We're reviewing another movie with actual movie footage while we're talking. Isn't this amazing? I know. 2 episodes in a row. We're on a roll, right? Right? Leave a comment below. But until then, enjoy the review of Sonic the Hedgehog. Hi, everybody. This is JPar, and you are watching the We Promise Nothing show. Today on the show, we have Scott.
Hey.
We have Clayton.
Hey.
And we have Dabu.
Hey, guys.
And what's on your head? What's on your head there, Boo?
Dead rat that fell in a puddle of blue dye.
You killed Sonic and you
A
put him
wig
on
that
your
gets a
head.
lot of reuse in a lot of our videos as of late.
You killed Sonic the Hedgehog and put him on your head, did you?
I scalped Sonic.
The
We're getting
Sonic
ahead of
Kelp.
ourselves.
Yeah, so today we are reviewing Sonic the Hedgehog. That's right, that new video game based movie on Sega's favorite blue mascot.
Only blue
And
mascot.
yeah, it stars Jim Carrey, James Marsden, and others. Let's just say others. I actually brought it up so I could actually say. Oh, and Tika Sumpter. That's who else. That's a person that's in that movie.
Is that a girl?
That is the girl, yes.
Oh, okay.
That is James Marsden, a.k.a. Cyclops' love interest.
I thought I recognized him. Yeah.
This is our review of Sonic the Hedgehog, a.k.a. Cyclops helps Sonic save the world. I don't know. help fight Jim Carrey and save the world.
Really, though?
Yeah.
Helping Jim Carrey.
All right, so let's start with first impressions, as per always. So when we were young, Clayton, we used to be video game fans. We used to play some Sega Genesis.
Yeah, we used to play a few games.
Sorry, what's that?
I said we used to play a few games.
Yeah, you're going to have to speak up, though. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yes, we used to play some games.
You're still really low. All right, but yes, we used to play some games. So you used to have a Sega Genesis, and you were quite a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I still have a Sega Genesis, and I'm still a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
Despite the last 15 or 20 years of rough road for that particular character.
No kidding, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So the comics, I started collecting the comics at one point, and I think as I was leaning out of the comics, you started leaning into them and started collecting them a lot more.
Yeah, actually, that was because there was one, most of the time the art was throwaway Archie junk.
Yeah.
And then there was one guy, Pat, what was his name? They called him Spaz, Patrick Spaziante.
Yeah, that's
his art
name.
was awesome.
His art was great artist.
Yeah, his stuff really captured the speed and the awesome designs and stuff. He really got the most out of that character.
Mm-hmm.
It was that comic was awesome for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, being a fan of that, and I used to watch the old Saturday morning cartoon, and there was two versions of them. There was a syndicated one where it was more like a Looney Tunes thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was another one.
The Jaleel White one.
They're both Jaleel.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. So if you don't know who that is, that's Urkel. So Urkel is the original voice of Sonic the Hedgehog, in case you don't know. And
most people watching this don't even know who Urkel is.
What's that?
I said most people watching this won't even know who Urkel is.
How young do you think our audience is?
I don't know. How old are you?
They should have got him back though for this one. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Where is he though? Where would they have to look to find Jaleel White right now?
I think he's doing okay. I think I've seen him on one of those things like Where Are They Now? He's addicted to crack.
Where are they now? Where is Urkel now?
Because if you end up on Where Are They Now, your career must be doing well.
Still would have been a good choice
on that show.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So Michael Jaleel White was the original voice of Sonic. So there used to be like a Saturday morning cartoon which was taken seriously and tugged at the heartstrings. They did things like his uncle Chuck, which was turned into a robot, and
Oh,
Robotnik
yeah.
was a much more serious villain. And then there was the other one where you could tell they grinded out like just 64 or just as many episodes as they could so they could play it on weekdays. And it was the crappiest animation that was turned into like a Looney Tunes thing. So it's like they were trying to spin out all these different ideas for Sonic the Hedgehog. It seems like no real thing stuck. You know what I mean? Like there was no continuity of Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. They always
Yeah, that's like the games too, though, man. Like the games just changed gears so fast. I mean, at one point there was one game where like Sonic was like making out with a human woman.
No.
Things got weird for a while. I'm telling you, like they got weird
Wait, Sonic was making out a what now?
with a human woman. I think it's Sonic 06 for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3.
So
Sonic
somewhere
has,
along the line, they decided that Sonic needed a human
a
girl.
real human woman who was like a 6 foot tall blonde bombshell type too. It was like really weird. It was weird, man. I didn't feel clean after I played that.
All right.
Right? How do you follow that up?
I don't know how to follow that. So let's get into the review of this movie. So the way we do it around here, folks, we break it down into 5 stars, and then we're just going to give a reason why as to why we gave it that rating, and then we'll say some of the juicy stuff for later because that's when we're getting into our best and our worst. So let's start with Clayton, since you're rarely around here, and let's let you dig into this movie first.
Okay. So what do you want? First impressions?
We already did that. So we're going to do your rating out of 5 stars and tell me how you got there.
That's a 3.5. It's a 3.5. 3.5.
What?
It's it was a 3.5. It was like
3.5?
it was fun enough to watch once. Yeah, it was fun enough to watch once, but honestly, I would have preferred a script that like went for a little bit more bite. Like the biggest thing for me actually was kind of it seemed like going into it there was going to be a lot of fan service, and then it kind of like dried up. Like after the first act, everything sort of dried up, and then you didn't start seeing that stuff again until the very end of the movie.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
But that is the reason for your 3.5 rating?
Yeah, I like the script too, but I didn't like Sonic was a child of the 90s, right? And his character was always meant to be like extreme. And
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of watered him down a little bit. Like he didn't use his speed as much as he probably could have. And I don't know if they're saving more juice for the inevitable sequel, but I would like to see something a little bit more extreme.
Yeah, I agree. But also kids are different nowadays, right? Like they're not the same way they used to be. The kids aren't the way they were in our generation. So we needed like a character with attitude, or else you just don't make it.
Kids these days are just not cool. They have no idea.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
I got a question. Does your girlfriend's kids watch this show? Probably not.
This show? They watch the TV show.
Oh,
they watch us on. They watch us on late night ticket.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well,
yeah. I didn't say they were.
They won't know that you said that. Got it.
No, they are. They like it.
Take it away, Scott.
Oh yeah. So this movie was better than I expected it to be, for sure. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed Jim Carrey's performance. It was nice to see him in like a familiar role. So there was a lot of nostalgia around that, and a lot of nostalgia around the character. Like Clayton said, it is watered down. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I watched it with my daughter, and she really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. So I give it like a 3. It's a 3 for me. So they did a good job. It was a lot of fun.
Right on. And Dabu.
Hey, boy. Well, I have to admit, I never really grew up with them as much as you guys did. as kids, so I don't have that nostalgic feeling going into this. So I'm gonna have to keep that as an open mind when rating this. That as a movie as a whole, it's quite weak. It's not. I mean, I don't know what to expect out of a character story-driven story like this. I mean, Sonic himself is a pretty interesting character, right? The fact that his abilities are based off that speed, as you guys kept pointing out. There's things like that I expected to see. I think right away. I think the introduction to the character in the movie was kind of cool, like to see him in his own home world, which was exactly the levels you see right out of the video game. And makes perfect sense why they do that, right? It pulls you right into his universe, and you right away feel exactly where he's coming from. But then all of a sudden he makes it to Earth, and it's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
So for me, the story being really weak kind of ruined, I think, the overall effect for me. I had to rely on, I think, some of the more obvious elements that were pretty cool. One of which, obviously, was one of my personal favorites, seeing Jim Carrey come back to his best, in my opinion, some of his best work. Because when he plays that slapstick, silly role, I know he may not feel like he wants to go back to it, as he's admitted recently, but I feel like that's a lot of his best qualities out of his personalities he brings to the film industry. So I think that kind of character was enough to make this movie shine. Sonic himself, not quite so much. It was obviously a good thing they made a big change with the character, rendering-wise. I don't think anyone got that up. But that being said, and the fact that they saved it, I can only give this a 2.5 out of 5 for me. I want to give it a 3 for the sake of Jim's performance, and I know Clay's not agreeing.
Look at everyone's faces.
Clay's like, no, who cares?
About right.
I will say this though. This is one thing I, as a huge video game fan, obviously myself and a lot of you included. This kind of movie, obviously, you could see a lot of the bright, the light at the end of the tunnel, if I might say. There's a lot of good you can take out of a movie like this, where they're acknowledging what their fan base wants, and they're doing that. They're using that critique, and they're running with it. They obviously had to be a firm slap in the face to someone at some point when they said, "Nope, this is not the way you render Sonic." So they had to change that up. So we're all glad they did.
You see the movie poster there with the legs hanging over the San Francisco Bridge there? Like, what is going on here? Like, he had amazingly good cut legs. Like, he was a runner. Like, clearly.
So not
Did
quite
you guys see that poster?
cartoon rendering we need.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Jason,
You should send it to me so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got to go onto the internet and find that poster.
Well,
it was
send it to me so I can post it on the thing.
I think it was like the first thing we saw. We saw like a
I will
silhouette.
tell you, it is. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
I've
heard your eyes.
Right now.
Well, I saw the original
Can't
design.
unring that bell. What's that?
I saw the original design, and the original design in the original trailer was horrid looking.
Yeah. That was
just like had
Photoshop,
those awful teeth and just like I don't know what was going on. So
I think his running shoes were fur. His running shoes were fur, I think. Like,
were they?
They looked like running shoes, but they were fur.
No, I remember them looking like Adidas Gazelles or something, but he had the legs of a friggin' Kenyan Olympic runner. Like, it was crazy.
he was ugly, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to see
he was
that
horrid looking. So
it was gonna be bad.
for me, I would give it a 3 because it was a fun movie. It was a cute little movie, and it did it did pay homage to the fandom where every once in a while, like you said, the opening scene there, Dave, when he's running through the loops and all that, and then like even at the end, so there was definitely a lot of references, like even the street names and what were they, like Hilltop? Is that what the name?
Yeah. Yeah,
the
and
name of
the
the
name of the town was
Valley
the name of the town was Green Hill.
Yeah, Green Hill.
Green Hill.
Right, yeah, Green
But
Hill.
it should have been like they could have taken it farther. It should have been Green Hill, Arizona.
No, Green Hills.
Yeah?
That would have been sweet.
Right?
That's
I
clever.
thought about that all the way through the movie. I kept on waiting for these obvious Easter eggs, and they just didn't show.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what this whole movie is. It's just like it's cute enough to be good, but not great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's got the little Easter eggs, and it's got it's got some great acting from James Marsden. He does a great job. In fact, he did such a great job. I forgot he was Cyclops a few times. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, this
Me
guy's
too.
Cyclops.
I completely forgot he was Cyclops.
Sorry, what's that?
Like me too. Like from the original one or like the new ones?
No, he's the original Cyclops. It's
Yeah, the
James
original.
Oh,
Marsden.
the original one. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't recognize him?
He's not
I
that
did not. He looked
not that forgettable, guys. Oh my god.
I know he's wearing
Don't get me
glasses,
wrong,
but I mean,
Cyclops isn't exactly the
people
hottest
don't
of all the
look that
but-
different without their glasses. Anyways,
Yeah, how the hell did Clark Kent get away with it for so long, really?
but yeah, so it was like everything was just like good enough just to be good. You know what I mean? Just to be passable, just to be satisfactory. So I can't say it's not a bad movie by any stretch. It's a cute little movie. Now, as like, as a fan of Sonic when I was younger, of course I would have liked to see them do a lot more. I actually probably would have liked to see them adapt more of the Saturday morning cartoon or the comics, like when they actually started getting really good. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a lot more I would have liked
a lot
to
of
see them
potential.
do.
There's a ton of potential here, I think, is what you're all admitting, right? It's this fact that you guys remember this lovable character in his own lovable universe, and I think a lot of that stems from that nostalgia you guys were always talking about.
Yeah, but the character
take
that
a
was
while
in
for it
this
to come to that.
movie is not the character that was around in the early 90s. Like, it's just, he's not the same. He's like a little kid.
Yeah, he is more
Sonic
like
was a
kid.
teenager. He
Yeah.
was a
Yeah,
teenager.
and I get that. Maybe they're kind of building up to
Yeah,
something
but
more
maybe
like
that
it
has-
later.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. I just want to admit that I don't see it the way you guys do, but I have to admit it's not the same character I kind of remember in the video games. As
Like
well.
whatever happened to the Sonic the Hedgehog that was in that Sega Saturn advertisement? He's going crazy on the turntables, and then someone's telling him to chill, and he's like, "My bad." What happened to that Sonic?
That was the 90s, man. That was
That
like
was.
all the 90s.
It was great.
You could sum the entire 90s up just in that commercial.
Was it Saturn or Dreamcast advertisement? I can't remember which one it was, but anyway.
It might have been a Dreamcast advertisement.
Yeah, that might have been Dreamcast. But so I give it a 3, and because everything was, like I said, it was good, satisfactory. So let's get into the best and the worst. And since we started with you, Clayton, let us know what your best and worst are.
The best for me was the Easter eggs. Like, that's the thing I was really looking forward to, and because of like so much of Sonic's like identity is also kind of tied to the levels that he finds himself in the game.
Yeah.
I was hoping that there would be like a lot more of that in the background, and that they would use that a lot more, that they would use like game references in the background so that you could still watch and enjoy the movie. But if you had played the games, you could be like, oh my God, look at that. I see that. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I remember that. And they started off really strong with that. Like, it takes place in Green Hills, Colorado, Green Hills being like the first Sonic level ever from the first game. And then the flower that he brings to Donut Lord there is the flower from the level of the first game. Or not the Donut Lord, the Longclaw, his ward there. He brings her that flower. That's a sunflower from the first level of the first game. And they started off really strong with all of that kind of stuff. And then after he meets Marston, it just kind of, that dries up and drops off right until the end of the movie.
Do you think they made a mistake, like putting it on Earth as opposed to Mobius?
No, because I feel like it had more potential as like a buddy road trip movie than it would have. It had more mainstream potential as a buddy road trip movie than it would have if it was a computer animated movie set in a fictional world. There's nothing to tie any of the characters to the people who are going to see the movie. You know what I mean? It would have ended up being like a straight to video type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it kind of walks the line of those CGI, like kind of like Yogi Bear, or what's another one that they did like that?
The humor would not have been successful enough to carry it like a DreamWorks movie, like a Shrek or a Hoodwinked or a something like that, if they had done it that way. But setting it in a real world with the like real people, and that realization that these amazing things are happening is kind of what holds that movie together.
Okay, so best was Easter eggs. What's your least favorite?
I don't know. I think probably Carrey, actually.
Jim Carrey, really?
Yeah, it's not even that I don't like him as Ivo Robotnik. I felt like his his performance was kind of dried up for me. I thought he could have gone even farther with it. He could have gone zanier, like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't.
Yeah.
He felt like he was a jerk, but he never really felt like he was kind of insane power hungry. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen every iteration of Ivo Robotnik there is, and I just don't feel like he pushed it far enough.
Well,
All right.
I might have a counter for that later.
Okay. Who did I go second? Scott? Go
Yeah.
for it, Scott. What's your best and worst?
So I would say the worst, I'll start with, is because the worst thing was it being set in the real world. Like, they kind of did what the Masters of the Universe did. Take it,
Low blow.
and they jam it in there. Man-at-Arms is eating fried chicken, and it's just completely shameless, right? I'm like, why are they eating chicken? Anyways, and
Are we
I think
supposed to
that
believe
it would have been better that way.
Hold up. Are we supposed to believe that Eternians are all vegetarians? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm just saying they don't eat chicken out of a bucket. That's all.
Apparently not. Not off bones, anyway. Anyways, carry on.
Yeah, that was probably the worst of it. But then I just took it for what it was, so I got past it. And I think because they did set it in the real world, picking an actor like Jim Carrey to carry that really helped, because he's super animated and it's a lot of fun. But I think overall, like, if it was done like Wreck-It Ralph or those type of movies, those movies make a lot of money, and I think that they could have made a lot of money that way. And it just would have been a lot more fun, because we would have been able to explore the world for what it is. The best parts of the movie are at the beginning for me, when they show the origin. And then at the end, when Tails shows up, is really my favorite stuff.
Oh,
I
spoiler.
like how Robotnik ends up in that mushroom world.
Wow. It's like the viewer doesn't even have to go watch the movie now. Scott, you just gave everything away. Thanks.
Well, yeah.
Well, if you're watching this, I hope you've already seen the movie, because we always do talk about
Sorry about that. Spoiler warning.
I mean, we didn't give a spoiler warning, but it should be known on our channel by now. Anyways, go ahead.
So my favorite thing would be Jim Carrey's performance. I really enjoyed it, and the fact that I was able to sit down and watch it with my daughter, and she really enjoyed it. So that's why I gave it a 3.5, because overall it was pretty good. I mean, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be too. So I was actually I might, like, 3 might seem a little low, but 3 is actually a decent rating. That's above average, and it's I would watch it again. It was cute. It was fun. All right, so let's get to your best and worst there, Dave.
Well, there's not a whole lot for me. I can actually pick out that was that great, to be honest. I mean, I did kind of bring
What's
up
your worst.
Well, no, I will admit my favorite aspect probably was a little combination of both. I think I had brought up Jim Carrey's performance. It's not to say it was the greatest thing ever. Clay did bring up an interesting point, though, because we're so used to his way of acting, I guess, from the past, that going into this kind of role, we wanted to see more of that craziness on a whole new extreme level, maybe. I think the counter that I might have had from that point, Clay, was that it had more to do with seeing him on a more calmer tone right now, and like the first introduction, and then a separate spoiler is at the end of the movie when he's actually teleported to the Mushroom Kingdom, or wherever the hell that was. And then you see that.
It's the Mushroom Hill Zone from Sonic.
That was like a
Knuckles.
That's what I thought it was supposed to be, but it looked more mushroomy than I thought it should have.
Tons
There
of
was
Like
a lot
a
of
knock
mushrooms.
against Mario Brothers.
Yeah, he's clearly isolated, so clearly you know that there's no one for him to talk to, so he's kind of lost his mind. So what do? They actually give him
Reconnaissance!
his iconic look. The mustache was just kind of spiked completely outwards, and he's walking around with nothing but that, and then a complete shaved head. So of course I got to see right away that iconic, what do they call him, the Eggman?
The Eggman, yeah.
So, and I don't play these games, so for me to see these things come to life, and the build up to that part was probably my favorite. So it had to be a little bit of a combination of the Easter egg use, as well as, I think in this case, Jim's performance building up to that point where now he's completely insane. So I'm kind of curious to see what he'll be like in the second part, because of how now he's at that Eggman level, right? He's gone crazy. My least favorite, I think it really, and I think I briefly mentioned it before, it was the story. The story just didn't really keep me going. That's why it's a big part of the reason why I can only give it a 2.5 instead of a 3 like I really wanted to out of 5. Jim, in my opinion, carried that movie a little too much, and James Marsden. Well, no offense to him as an actor, but I loved what he did with this character, but there was not a whole lot for him to do much with. It was I kind of, like Clay, you brought it up, buddy cop kind of role. Like the relationship between Sonic and James's character for me just wasn't a whole lot there. And by the time the end of the movie actually came about, I was kind of exasperated and thrilled at the fact that it was done. I really didn't care for this at all. So by the time the movie was finished with, it had a lot to do with, well, what can they do next with this? I think was what was in my mind. So I missed the Tails a little spit at the end of the movie. So that was kind of like a bit of a spoiler for me afterwards. So I'm glad someone brought that up. But that to me means that they have plans later on. So I'm still curious.
Well, this movie exceeded its budget in the first weekend it was in theaters.
Oh, well,
So
there you go.
Yeah, it made a lot of
it was the most successful launch for a video game movie in history.
And we'll get to that question in just 1 second.
It was.
No, I believe you. 100% it was. It's probably the best video game movie. Sorry. Okay, well, we'll debate that in just 1 second. So you see
Money-wise,
best
it
and
is.
worst, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, sorry, your best was what? Jim Carrey, and your least favorite?
I said it was a combination of Jim Carrey's performance, but as well as the use of the Easter eggs, because the Easter eggs was the only thing I could relate with, right? And I'm not much of a immediate fan of video games.
Least favorite is
my least favorite. I think had literally the story element to it. There's nothing to it. The story was so fucking so weak that it was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, so my best and my worst. So I think number 1, they changed Sonic. They changed him and made him look the way he was. Yay, cats! The internet loves
I had
cats.
to make an appearance.
Yeah.
What's your cat's name?
Zeus.
Zeus.
Oh, good name.
Nice.
Zeus the cat.
So my Zeus the cat. So my
I'm bringing my
favorite.
cat next time.
My favorite is the fact that they actually, not many movie companies will go and change it after they get like a huge backlash from the fans. Some of them will be like, screw you guys, you get what you get, you know what I mean, you nerds. But this one was like, people were just like, they got a huge backlash for how bad Sonic looked in the trailer, and they're like, you know what, you guys don't like it, we'll fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll fix it, man.
But I mean, the character's design was like that character design is like the design is the character.
Yes, it is 100%. And if he doesn't look like that, then he's not the character. Exactly. He has a very stylistic way about him, the way he looks. And if you change that, it's not the character anymore. You're absolutely right. And so the fact that they were willing to, push their movie back several months to appease the fans so they could fix all the CGI on Sonic, like that's a big thumbs up for me. Like that made me want to see the movie because they're actually loyal to the fan base and they actually wanted to do something for the fans. So number 1, that's my favorite. And yes, of course, all the Easter eggs right at the beginning when he's running through the loops. It actually looks like the Green Hill Zone. It looks fucking awesome. But it looks great. And then even like Tails at the end, I would have preferred to see Knuckles over Tails, but whatever.
Well, they had echidnas in it at the beginning. The tribe of echidnas is what chased them through the ring and killed Longclaw.
Oh, really? Oh,
there were echidnas. Was a tribe of echidnas, yeah. And then the old man there, the crazy old guy who kept talking about the Blue Devil. If you look, the drawing that he holds up is actually the Sonic meme from the internet. The Sonic meme.
The Sonic meme?
You guys don't know about the Sonic meme?
No, I guess not.
No.
You have to send me a few files after this.
Yeah. The internet won with this movie, that's for sure.
All right. So my least favorite, and you know what? They took away I didn't hate Sonic. I liked him, but they kind of took away a bit of his attitude. He's a bit watered down. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that same in-your-face attitude that he had back in the 90s. When it's like, there was a lot of funny jokes. Like, I like the jokes, and I actually laughed at the jokes when he does the spin, and he takes out that car on the road, and he's like, how are you still alive? I don't know! Like, that's still, like, pretty, that's funny stuff, but I feel like our Sonic might have probably would have said something like, "'Cause I'm that damn good," you know, like something
Yeah.
like that instead. But that's so yeah. So you know, they watered him down for sure. They made I don't know if they made him more kid friendly or if they just made him more friendly to match today kids' personalities nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't
He
know.
was made to appeal to teens. Like the character was designed specifically to be everything that Nintendo
That
characters were,
Mario
right?
wasn't.
Mhm.
So Sonic was designed to be extreme and fast, in your face attitude. You know what I mean? So anything less kind of waters him down. But these days, kids these days are just not like that. They don't get that rebellion. They don't get that extreme streak. You know what I mean? So that character would be lost on them. So they went the safe route, made it a family movie, and kind of dropped him down a level. But I would be surprised if they make a sequel that you wouldn't see him like raise that confidence and that arrogance a little bit more.
Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe if this is an origin story, so maybe that's why he's younger. Maybe if they progress the character into more of his teenage years, maybe we'll get more of that.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was saying I was curious to see where they'll take it from here, because there's a lot of potential. It's just this was for me a very weak start.
Yeah. I don't think it was a weak start. I think it was a good start for them because, like you said, most successful video game movie potentially. Did it have the best
Let's
opening?
just say that when it comes to this movie, I hope that this is the least successful Sonic movie.
Yeah.
I hope so too. I hope the next one's like amazing. I hope they put in Tails and Knuckles and throw in more Easter eggs and Silver Sonic and other crazy characters.
Wall-to-wall Easter eggs, man.
Yeah.
Wall-to-wall.
Like you can raise Silver Sonic. Like I just don't want them to adapt like some of the crappy new characters that in the games. I'd much prefer if they did like Sally Acorn and Rotor and
Freedom Fighters
those characters.
Yeah, the Freedom Fighters.
The Freedom Fighters. I love them. That was way better.
We don't need Silver the telekinetics hedgehog.
Oh God! Don't give a Shadow and all that
or
Shadow
no
for Amy. I mean, even Amy. I don't even want to see Amy. Girl Hedgehog. Get out of here.
What about that one character that looked like Sonic, but it was all metallic?
Yeah, Silver Sonic.
Oh,
or Metal Sonic, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
Like, in my honest opinion, I think when being a video game fan, this is a character-driven universe that they had built, right? So they got to keep that going forward. And you're absolutely right. Part of that Easter egg thing they're going to have to keep going forward with. They have to bring in I'm not saying a ton of these new characters, but at least some of the core element ones.
Well,
that you guys
guaranteed Knuckles.
Yeah, right.
And like they'll introduce Tails and Knuckles in the next one. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
If they do it
I
right,
like the idea of more of the Easter eggs happening in the background, though, so that if you're not a fan of the games or you never played them, you can still enjoy the movie. And it's like a second layer of the movie that you watch, right? When you recognize familiar elements from the games, but that it's not a direct part of the story, so that if you're just watching the movie and you've never played the games, you can still enjoy it and it's still coherent.
All right, we're gonna have to wrap this up though because we're running out of time. So, best video game movie?
That's saying
not my favorite, but I don't know which one is my favorite.
Mortal Kombat? Resident Evil? What's better than Sonic the Hedgehog?
No, my personal favorite is the Mortal Kombat. I know it's corny and everything, but like the first Mortal Kombat is my personal favorite.
Yeah, for sure. Your soul is mine.
Yeah, that line is so fun. That's the only impersonation I can do. This one is
only impersonation?
Yeah, pretty much.
You came. You finish him. That was a cool movie, man. It was cool when it came out, and the CGI may not have aged all that well, but the movie was still cool, and the fight scenes were good.
You know what?
That's the best video game movie.
The problem with Mortal Kombat, I like the better version of it, the Bruce Lee version, which is Enter the Dragon, the original version.
Yeah.
But the game is basically based off that movie anyways, so I mean
kind of a little bit. It's based off of old martial arts movies, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're getting off base. So any final thoughts on for the Sonic movie?
Watch it so that they make a sequel.
Yeah,
that's all I need everybody to do.
It's good enough for a sequel.
Yeah.
I agree.
You used the right word earlier. I think it's a fun enough movie to actually see at least once. But just keep in mind, this is very family oriented.
Yes,
it's not one to wow you with. I think some of you had admitted you wanted to see more Sonic and what he was capable with his abilities. I think we're going to start to see that in the next coming movies. So look forward to more of that, hopefully.
Yeah, because there's definitely going to be a sequel. I think it had pretty good success.
Hopefully Jim Carrey does it as well. Sometimes he's a
Oh,
little bit
yeah, for
reluctant
sure.
to do sequels.
Oh, I will admit, if they keep him on board, I will come back personally. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's coming
Now
from
that
somebody who's not going to go immediately out of my way for this movie in the first place. If Jim were to come back in on the project and take this seriously enough and bring, I think what Clay had brought up earlier, we want that craziness of him to come back. You know, like he can take it up to a certain notch where you just don't know if you can handle it and handle him anymore.
Well, now that they've made him look like actual Robotnik, like they've flared the mustache and they've made him like insane, and he shaved his head with a jagged piece of glass there. It's like, okay,
that we're getting character. I want to see that come about. Now that they've introduced me to that, at that point, it's like, oh, okay, that's Eggman I want to see from going on now.
Yeah.
So like even more mad, like the isolation and all that, causing him to be more mad, more crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why it explained itself when you saw it briefly, right? Him being left on that planet for so long enough to be able to, you know, as Clay pointed out, shave his head bald with just a razor straight up and whatever grease I guess he found lying around.
Mushroom grease.
It was almost like a pulled a Vin Diesel there from
Pitch Black. Pitch Black, yeah.
Or Pitch Black, yeah, where he shaves his head there with what was it, a piece of glass, I think, at that point or something.
All right. So what are the ratings all around? I think I gave it a 3.
3.5. 3.5.
3 for me.
And a 2.5.
All right. So decent enough ratings. Good enough for at least one watch. I think everyone agrees. And if you want to see this kind of franchise flourish, or even video game movies flourish, I'd say check it out, because supporting this kind of stuff will definitely get a sequel for this, and maybe more good video game movies in the future. Let's be honest. Usually video game movies suck, and this was actually pretty good by comparison.
There is not many that are very good, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a
Hey, remember Final Fantasy Kingsglaive?
Oh, don't even.
As a movie, it was awful, but as a game intro.
No, don't even remind me. Yeah, you could review that video where we talk about Final Fantasy Kingsglaive on our channel here. If you want it, that's Clayton's first review with us, where he tortured us for the Final Fantasy movie.
It was great.
It was no Advent Children, I tell you that.
I've never, I've never gone back and rewatched it, actually.
It's brutal. It's terrible.
Yeah, it was.
These octopuses, give me a break.
That was Ultros.
I don't give a shit. No one knows who that is. No one knows.
People who play Final Fantasy know who that is.
All right, whatever. Freaking. How's Final Fantasy VII Remake, by the way?
It was good. I spent 55 hours on it, and I got about everything out of it I could. Definitely an interesting play, for sure.
All right, great. Well, I think that's all the time we have. Thanks for showing up, guys. That was a lot of fun. And we'll be reviewing something again soon to keep everybody entertained. And so check it out. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Check it out.
All right, so this is JPar signing out for the We Promise Nothing crew. JPar signing out.
See ya.
And you guys leaving the building, so-and-so doing something, and Boo is going bye-bye, because you guys seem to forget that. And if you disagree with anything you've heard here tonight on the show, you can leave a comment below. But as always, we promise
nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all off.
One more time. We
Promise.
Promise.
Nothing. You guys aren't even saying the
Trying to think up over the internet sucks. Good night, everybody.
Night, guys.
Later.